My name is Ashley, and I am from Brazil. I have always dreamed of speaking English fluently because I wanted to travel, make international friends, and have better job opportunities. However, learning a new language was never easy for me. I struggled a lot in school with grammar and pronunciation. My biggest fear was speaking in front of others because I was afraid of making mistakes. This is my story of how I overcame my fears and finally learned English. My first real experience with English. One day I was on a bus in Rio de Janeiro when I saw two tourists looking confused. They were holding a map and talking in English. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how to say the right words. My heart was racing, but I decided to try. "Excuse me, need help?" I said nervously. The tourists smiled and one of them said, "Yes, we are trying to find the Christ the Redeemer statue. Do you know how to get there?" I understood some words, but not everything. I felt embarrassed, but I took out my phone and used a translation app. Slowly, I explained to them how to get there. They thanked me and said, "Your English is good. Keep practicing." That small conversation made me feel so happy. Even though my English wasn't perfect, I had communicated successfully. That moment inspired me to learn more. Finding the best way to learn. After that day, I started researching how to learn English effectively. I found many different methods, but I didn't want to spend hours memorizing grammar rules. I wanted something practical and fun. One day, I found a video about the shadowing technique. The video explained that shadowing means listening to English audio and repeating exactly what you hear, like copying a native speaker's pronunciation and rhythm. I decided to try it. I found a podcast for English learners and started shadowing for 10 minutes every day. At first, it was difficult. I couldn't keep up with the speed, and my pronunciation sounded strange. But after 1 week, I noticed a big difference. My mouth was getting used to the new sounds, and I felt more confident speaking aloud. Using English in daily life. I realized that learning English is not just about studying. It's about using the language. I started changing my daily habits. Thinking aloud, I began talking to myself in English. When I woke up, I would say, "Today is a beautiful day. I have many things to do." When I cooked, I described what I was doing. "Now I am cutting the onions. Next, I will boil the pasta." Watching movies with subtitles. I watched my favorite movies in English with English subtitles. At first, it was hard, but soon I started recognizing words and phrases. Reading books and articles. I read simple English books and online articles. Every time I found a new word, I checked the meaning and tried to use it in my conversations. Speaking with native speakers. I joined an online language exchange program and started chatting with native English speakers. They corrected my mistakes and helped me improve my pronunciation. A life-changing trip to London. After 6 months of practicing, I decided to take the biggest step, traveling to London. I wanted to test my English skills in a real environment. I enrolled in a language school there and was excited, but also very nervous. On my first day, I met my teacher, Anna. She was a young and energetic woman who believed in a practical approach to learning. In this class, she said, we will not study from textbooks. We will learn by using English every day. Speaking is the key to fluency. That method was perfect for me. We practiced speaking in pairs, played role-playing games, and even went outside to interview people on the street. It was scary at first, but I soon realized that mistakes were normal. The more I spoke, the more comfortable I felt. Discovering the power of reading. One day, a student in my class asked, "What is the best way to learn new words?" Anna smiled and said, "The best way is reading. People who read every day learn twice as fast as those who don't. But remember, choose books that you enjoy. If the book is boring, you won't learn." That night, I started reading my first book in English. At first, I had to use the dictionary a lot. But after 1 month, I noticed a huge improvement. New words stuck in my mind, and I started using them in conversations. Overcoming pronunciation problems. One of my classmates, Jin from South Korea, had a big problem with pronunciation. He understood English well, but was afraid to speak. One day, he asked Anna for advice. "Try shadowing," she said. "Copy the way native speakers talk. Watch videos and repeat what you hear." Jin followed her advice, and after 2 weeks, his pronunciation improved dramatically. I was amazed. I decided to practice shadowing even more. Getting my first job in English. While in London, I wanted to practice my English even more. I went to a job center and asked, "What are the best jobs for students?" The lady at the center said, "You can work as a waiter in a cafe. Your English is good enough." I was nervous, but I accepted the job. At first, I made many mistakes. Sometimes I didn't understand customers' orders, and sometimes I forgot words. But I learned quickly. Every day my English got better, and soon I was having full conversations with customers. Final lesson: thinking aloud. One day, a new student named Alyssa joined our class. She spoke English fluently, and we were all surprised. "How did you learn so fast?" I asked her. She smiled and said, "I use a technique called thinking aloud. Every day, I talk to myself in English. When I cook, I speak in English. When I walk, I describe everything I see in English. It helps my brain think in English instead of my native language." I decided to try it, and it worked. My speaking became more natural, and I stopped translating in my head. My advice for learning English. After a year of practicing, I finally felt fluent in English. I was able to travel, make international friends, and even help other students learn. If you are learning English, my advice is: use English every day. Don't just study. Speak, listen, read, and think in English. Try shadowing. Repeat after native speakers to improve pronunciation. Read for 30 minutes daily. Reading helps you learn new words naturally. Think aloud. Talking to yourself in English trains your brain to think in the language. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Keep practicing, and you will improve. Today I am proud of my journey. Learning English changed my life, and I know it can change yours too. Keep practicing and never give up.